The Legal Gentleman is one of those classic films that's been on my to-watch list for a very long time. And finally, I thought, let's do it. Let's watch it. I should say I haven't seen the TV series. I didn't really know anything about this before going into it, and I didn't read anything around it until after I'd watched it. Was it worth the wait? I would say it is. It's not going to ever be one of my favourite films, but I thought it was really effective and worked really well. It also has a 7.3 out of 10 rating on IMDb, which is a bloomin' good rating. So it was released in 1960, directed by Basil Dearden and written by Bryan Forbes, based on the novel by John Boland. And the description is as follows. A disgruntled veteran recruits a group of disgraced colleagues to perform a bank robbery with military precision. How this comes about. So there won't be any spoilers, but I'm going to maybe describe the first 20 minutes or so, because I absolutely thoroughly loved the opening scenes in the sequence that brought them together. But thereafter, I'm not going to tell you how it pans out. So it starts off with this man who we don't know who he is. He is cutting up, I think it was £5 notes, placing them with a handwritten card inside a novel, and then mailing them out to people. And then we see people starting to receive these. And then these strangers all meet, as per the instruction on the handwritten note, at this restaurant parlour thing, and the ringleader, if you like, who sent out the letters, said that he's gathered them all together, and the book that he sent them tells the story of these people who carried out the perfect bank heist. And he says to them, we are going to do that. I've selected you all because you've got checkered pasts. He knows a lot about them, a scary amount about them. And he has to go about persuading them to carry out the robbery, and then most of the film is about planning it. There is a bit in the middle of the film, which I won't describe because you might enjoy it, it might be for you, but it changes setting, and it helps give us more background, more substance, but I found it quite slow. I'm sure you'll know which bit I mean, where there's a kind of severe shift in focus and setting, and I just felt like it dragged a little bit, not overly, but that bit I could have done without. But the rest of the film was incredible. The decision to film it in black and white, or to at least release it in black and white, I thought was absolutely brilliant. It gave it such a nostalgic feel, and it worked really, really well. The development of the plot, the development of the narrative was good, but the plot itself stayed true to itself, apart from that little bit in the middle that I personally never really took to. I was very happy with the development. I honestly thought it would not have that outcome. It's not what I expected, but the way it concluded, the last 5 minutes, I thought was just exquisitely presented. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. The dialogue throughout, but particularly at the end, was just so satisfying and so pleasing that I have no other complaints, and a lot of praise for the narrative, for the dialogue. All of the discourse was absolutely wonderful. The characters, all of them had their own identities. They were very witty when they needed to be, clever when they needed to be, not really focusing when it worked well in the scene. A lot of them had, girlfriends, wives. They had an odd role to play, as they weren't in the foreground, but we saw too much of them to be background characters. So I feel like for the most part they could have either been more or less. They were kind of uncomfortably in the middle. But our gentlemen were incredible. So for me, the takeaway is Lexy, played by Richard Attenborough. This is the youngest I have seen Attenborough. I've not seen him in anything, to my knowledge, pre-Miracle on 34th Street. So it's very weird to see where my image of Santa Claus kind of came from several decades prior. Jack Hawkins as Hyde is great. I think he holds his role very well. The character himself is very engaging, very detailed, and he's one of those characters I'd love to have a conversation with. I think he's absolutely brilliant. Nigel Patrick as Race, Roger Livesey as Mycroft, Quite a few other really brilliant characters in here. I can't fault anybody's performance, to be perfectly honest with you. It's just a flawless film, if you take out that little chunk that I wasn't really pleased with. I didn't think I'd like it this much. Ordinarily, if you said, here's a film about a bank robbery, I'd be like, well, it's probably going to be okay. I absolutely loved it, genuinely in love with it. And I'm very surprised, as I did not expect that reaction from me. You must see it if you haven't, but I assume most people have, because I was very much one of the last people to see it. It's absolutely brilliant. I probably won't check out the TV show, not immediately, but I thoroughly enjoyed The League of Gentlemen, and I truly believe that you will too.